All right, we're live. Back at it again, episode 7 of Boys Bet Ball. We are back here with myself, Mike, and we got Spencer on the other end. If y'all don't see anything, I got a new addition to the crib. It's a 100-inch TCL TV. Bought it on Black Friday with the stand, and I finally broke out the 5-foot-long glance LED scroll ticker, and then my other one I just kind of put up back there. But it's turning out nicely. We'll get into stuff, but I was watching the BYU game last night on this thing. Game winner. Ooh, nothing better. So I'm feeling good.
Yeah, coming together.
Yeah. I was telling Spencer before we went live a couple of other things that we got. Oh, I got this nice Harden poster, which I have a frame for. I'm going to put on a wall. Unfortunately, I don't have a Houston Harden one. I would rather have that. But we'll make it work. And then eventually have like LED lights and stuff like that to add to it. But it's coming along, you know. One of the next things I need to have like 4 monitors. Right now I have a 3 or 2 monitor setup, and I need to have like 4 to 6. You know, we got to watch all the games and stuff. But let's go ahead and go into the recap section of the show. There's a lot stirring up, mainly in the NFL. But Spencer, you want to lead us off with it?
Yeah, I just highlighted a couple of games that notable games that happened last week. First and foremost, we had the AFC North divisional game. See who takes the division. Steelers were at home. Let me just double check.
No, it was
Ravens versus Steelers, and the Ravens were actually at home. And the Steelers not only covered, but they won outright 27-22. And now the Steelers are 2 games away from Mike Tomlin continuing his streak of never being below 500 with 4 games to go. So just got to go 500%. And the Ravens currently on the outside of the playoffs at 6-7. Mike, I know, do you have Lamar Jackson on your fantasy team?
I do have Lamar Jackson. He's been cheeks, but you know what? He kind of put together a decent game, even though the curse of Isaiah Likely, man. That dude is just one of probably the biggest boneheads I've ever seen in football. It goes back all the way to the Kansas City game. Actually, to bet Kansas City that game, so it's fine that his toe was on the line. But this is 2 weeks in a row, right? He had a touchdown, and I can't remember if it was last week. He just fumbled it. Yeah, I think it was last week. They're playing the Bengals. He has a touchdown. He just drops the ball for whatever reason. I still don't understand why guys just like don't hold the ball until it's like clear that it's a touchdown, you know, and they just before they let go of it. That's his biggest things. Because we have another one. He catches the ball with his hands. I mean, it was the safety. I think he did get a hand on it, but I think he still just kind of just dropped the ball. He didn't get 2 feet down, I don't think, and it was called no touchdown. But I mean, at the end of the day, Lamar, not great, but he still scored like 21 points for me, and that helped me win and secure my playoff spot. So, not the worst thing.
Probably gave you some flashbacks to Dez Caught It, right? Because people are just asking themselves like, what constitutes a catch? You know, he had 2.5, maybe 3 steps, and then the Steelers guy knocked it out of his hands. They called it a touchdown on the field, and they overturned it. And that was kind of the deciding game that would have put them up in the game. I don't think the Steelers scored the rest of the game, and they ended up losing by 5 points.
Yeah, and the Steelers are like, put things in perspective. The Steelers are not a good football team right now. So, the AFC, what is it, the AFC West? North is clearly the worst division, I think. Well, either that or the NFC
South.
Yeah. Those 2 divisions are the worst divisions in football right now.
for sure. So I don't know. People, I have just been looking. I listened to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he was just saying like Lamar just doesn't look like the same player. You know, he's not a threat to run the ball, and that was kind of what made him so dangerous as a quarterback. It definitely wasn't his like crazy accuracy or just being able to like be a pocket passer. It was being able to extend the play and even go out and run the play. But you ask yourself, like, how many injuries is he dealing with? And as you mentioned, AFC North is Steelers are currently in the lead. Ravens are a game back, and the Bengals probably have a higher percentage of making the playoffs than the Chiefs, but we'll get into that. Who do you think will end up, winning the division and ultimately going to the playoffs?
Yeah, that's a big question mark just because those teams, I mean, with that Ravens loss, like Cincinnati's still in it. They're not out yet. And yeah, that division honestly just sucks. Just looking at the teams that are in there. But in Cincinnati, they kind of blew it against Buffalo. I think they were on track to win that game. And Joe Burrow, we'll get to that game. But the big question is Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson can even have snippets of what he like normally looks like, I think the Ravens win the division because I do not believe in the Steelers. The Steelers are not a good football team. Sure, they'll probably be 500, but I don't want to believe that the Steelers are going to win this division.
Yeah, I mean, Tomlin's 2 games away from 9-8, being over 500. Comparing both of their schedules, I know basically the Bengals' only way that they'll get into playoffs is if both teams, or at least Pittsburgh, loses 3 of the last 4. Pittsburgh's last 4 games this week, they're home against the Dolphins, at the Lions, at the Browns, then
Ravens
at home against the Ravens.
That's going to be a huge game, last game of the season for them.
Yeah, and Ravens, they're playing the Bengals, another divisional game, and yeah, Bengals have to win that game. So, assuming the Bengals do win that game, and if Pittsburgh wins this week, it's probably Pittsburgh's division.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the Ravens schedule. The Ravens, like you mentioned, they play the Bengals this upcoming week. But after that, they got a gauntlet. They play the Patriots, who are vying for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Then you have the Packers, who are trying to win their division. And if the Packers keep winning, they could contend for the number 1 seed in the NFC, depending on what the Rams do. And then they play the Steelers again. Like, that's a pretty gauntlet of a schedule, if you ask me, especially the way that the Ravens are looking right now. Like, no bueno. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the best deals are the ones you didn't make. And I know a couple weeks ago we were talking, off camera about, playoff qualifiers. I didn't like Jacksonville. I didn't like Pittsburgh. I didn't like Chicago. And I think all of those teams are a pretty good lock to make the playoffs.
I don't know. Chicago's got a tough schedule. Like right now, with that single loss, which, I mean, maybe we can just go to that game against the Packers because, I mean, Packers made it clear Bears still suck. And I think it's finally coming into fruition. Granted, Bears actually played pretty well that game, despite it being, 28-21 win for the Packers. Bears did what the Bears did. They ran all over the Packers. Caleb Williams looked really good under pressure, almost to the point where he was like running out of the pocket, scrambling too fast. I think his receivers in certain plays weren't ready for that, but he threw that pick at the end that just kind of sealed it. But I still think with that single loss to the Packers, like I was mentioning, they dropped from the number 1 seed in the NFC to the number 7 seed. And that truly just goes to show like how competitive the NFC is. But the Bears lose like another couple games, depending on what happens with the rest of the conference, like they could be out.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The Lions, who would probably are right behind the Bears. I mean, I think I'm not sure if
they're a game behind. I want to say because Bears are 9-3. All right, 9-3, 9-4.
It's the 7 and 8 seed. I was just trying to confirm that the 49ers were above the Bears. I didn't know who had the tiebreaker. But yeah, it's probably between Detroit and Chicago for that last playoff seed. Seattle, is a 5 seed at 10-3.
Mm-hmm.
Them and the Rams are interchangeable in terms of, who actually wins the division, but they're pretty much locked into a playoff berth. But Detroit, I mean, before we kind of jump into, up and coming games, they have a tough game this week against the Rams, kind of the Matt Stafford game. So, yeah, I mean, I'd probably disagree with like the Bears sucking. They've surprised me. I'm not a believer in Caleb Williams, but I am a believer in Ben Johnson. And, other than a win, that was probably the best outcome Chicago could have had, going into Green Bay, 4th and 1 in field goal range, but obviously you have to score a touchdown because you're down 7. I saw and I recently followed Film Watchers on Instagram. Quick plug for him. He does awesome content.
Yeah, they ran the same play that they
ran the same play they did on Black Friday against the Eagles, and the Packers watched film, and they dropped the guy in coverage, and it still would have worked if you wouldn't have thrown
it was
a bad
pass. Yeah, it was a bad throw.
But you ask yourself, why do you even throw the ball when you've just been running it up the gut on Green Bay and getting first downs left and right? So, yeah, I mean, I would still love to see Detroit because I like MCDC, Motor City Dan Campbell in the playoffs. But Chicago, I mean, yeah, I would always say they were winning in spite of Caleb Williams. Caleb actually had a decent game, but their whole season's contingent on their run game. And the two-headed monster of DeAndre Swift and Managi, or however you pronounce his last name. So I thought it was a decent show, and especially, on the road in a hostile environment. And we'll see how the rest of the season goes with them.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears play Cleveland this next Sunday. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with Cleveland. Cleveland plays a way better defense when they're at home. So this is going to be at Soldier Field in Chicago. So, I mean, spread's 7.5 right now. I think the Bears will take care of business unless Shedeur, can cook up something crazy. I mean, the Browns should have won last week, but there's conspiracies being like if the Cleveland Browns head coach like low-key hates Shedeur because they score a touchdown to go down 1. If they kick an extra point, it's a tie game. They go to overtime, but they decide to go for 2. But they run this janky play where Sanders isn't even in the game. You have Quinson Judkins, who was supposed to run. He had a direct snap to do a jet sweep to, I can't remember who it was Jerry Jeudy or some other receiver, and he was supposed to pitch it off to him, but he didn't. And he got caught, and he just tried to throw it back across the field, almost got intercepted, and that's how the game ends.
Yeah. No, I think they were down by 2, so they had to go by for 2.
No, they went for the win.
Did they really?
Yeah.
No, they were down by 2. 31-29.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, so they had to go by 2, but 2-point play, and you're not going to have your quarterback who's thrown 3 touchdowns and rushed for 1 in the game. Yeah, I mean, we've seen other instances of Stefanski, snubbing Shedeur, not giving him a game ball when he won his first start against my Raiders. Not to open up another wound, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kind of not necessarily blowouts. I was watching that Bengals-Bills game. We'll talk about that after. But, yeah, that was probably the most exciting morning slate game other than Bengals-Bills. The Ravens and Pittsburgh, which we already talked about, came down somewhat to the wire. But they look kind of back and forth and just, battle of rookies, battle of mid, 60 points total. I thought it was a pretty exciting game. And was enough to land Shedeur the starting gig for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know what to think of that Browns team. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy the Titans won because that moved my Raiders to the number 2 slot if the season ended today. And Lord knows we need as much help as possible.
That's a good question because and maybe we can discuss it for a little bit. But say you guys get like the number 2 or the number 2 spot. I don't know if you were, or say the Raiders had the number 1 pick. Would you go ahead and draft
Francisco
Mendoza at number 1, or do you trade the number 1 pick for maybe the number 2 pick or number 3 or 4, and then get additional picks? Because at the end of the day, you guys do need a quarterback. Well, what's the use?
We have a lot of holes.
With quarterback, exactly. Without like a line, it's most importantly an offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why quarterbacks go number 1 overall most seasons when they're not typically the highest rated player on the big board, just because once you find a quarterback that works, ideally, like, you can start building your team. I'm personally of the mindset, you've seen it a lot in recent years with, Sam Darnold, not necessarily Matt Stafford, but Sam Darnold both in Minnesota and now in Seattle. Danny Dimes, which unfortunately his season got cut short this week, blowing out his Achilles. But this resurgence of, quarterbacks that you can pay $25-30 million, not having to break the bank, paying $40-50 million and building the team around them. Jared Goff as well in Detroit. I'm of that mindset too. Like, why are you going to go get, your quarterback just to have him sacked 100 times like Geno? So I haven't watched Indiana enough to be like, that guy is worth it. He is like a number 1 pick worthy. Everyone says, Genty should be given the Heisman this year just because the Heisman class is so bad. But yeah, I think it's left to be seen just how good he performs, especially in this college football playoff. I think I'd probably trade back though.
Yeah, I think I would agree too. You got to build the line. Even with the Cowboys, like, I would love for them, depending on what pick they get, love for them. Like, ideally, everyone's like, oh, we get like a running back like Jeremiah Love or someone. Like, yeah, but you got to like build up, especially for like the Cowboys, your defense. So if you get like a corner or safety or something like that, solidify that secondary. That just makes your team a lot better. And like, you already have, I think, enough offensive weapons. Obviously, if you could get a running back as well, that'd be nice. That's why I'm really campaigning for the Cowboys to pick up LJ Martin or someone. I don't know. I don't even know what round he would go. Probably like at least like 4th or 5th round, if not later. Someone like that, like, because running backs especially, you can get them pretty late in the draft, and as long as you have a good line, like, most running backs will be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Atlanta, where Tyler Algier sometimes looks like the better running back than Bijan Robinson. He went in the 5th round. Game's won in the trenches. Kind of wrapping up the recap, at least for the NFL. I didn't put it in the notes, but it was, probably the game of the week, the Bengals-Bills. Not even necessarily back and forth, I feel like the Bengals were in control most of the game, and it took Josh Allen and the Bills scoring 21 points in the 4th quarter to come back, have a come from behind victory, 39-34. The major, not issues, but just the major kind of downfall for the Bengals were Joe Burrow's 2 costly interceptions at the end of the game. I don't know. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, that's where it all kind of fell apart from the Bengals. I agree with you. I think the Bengals were probably pretty control of that game. I mean, look at the game. Like, with Buffalo scoring 21 points in the 4th quarter. Granted, Bengals also scored 13, but that is what the Bengals does, and we've seen time and time again this Buffalo team having a really hard time just like stopping anyone. So I think that was the big turning point of the game. I'm trying to pull up the drive where that, especially the pick six. Like, it's one thing to throw an interception because they were driving the field. I want to say they were on the Buffalo side of the field at that point, and he just throws like this little pass to the flat to the running back, and it was just a weak throw, which you don't typically see from Joe Burrow. So that one was a pick six. That one was hard to see, the Bills immediately scoring and pulling up the drive where it happened.
Yeah, it was in the fourth quarter. The Bills had cut the lead to 3, and he just, like you said, it was a screen pass, but it felt like he never really got the grip on the seams, and he kind of tried to just toss it. Didn't really go anywhere, and he just threw his hands up, caught it, and took it home for a pick six. Game switches. Now they're down by 4.
Yeah, and then they immediately come back. They run one play, and he throws an interception again. The back-to-back turnovers, killer. That second interception being on their side of the field. Buffalo comes down 5 plays later, 2 minutes, scores another touchdown, and it's just hard to come back from that.
Yeah, they did cover 5.5 though.
Yeah, I was one of those guys. I saw the weather report and I was listening to some other guys on YouTube, and I'm like, I know this is the Bengals and the Bills. Bengals defense has looked a little bit better. It's a snow game. They're probably going to run the ball a lot because Buffalo loves running the ball. The Bengals have been running the ball a lot more. So I played the under. It was like 55.5 on like a blizzard game. And they just like torched that out of the water. Like, granted, the pick six, like some of that stuff was a little bit of anomaly, but it shows you like weather can sometimes like improve the odds of them scoring, because you have some quarterbacks have actually said that the DBs they'll slip around on the snow and stuff and actually have players a little bit more open. And yeah, I mean, you have Josh Allen just running through the snow, and you have got like guys on the Bengals defense just slipping and sliding everywhere. So that was I got torched on that one.
Yeah, back-to-back picks, 34 points in the fourth quarter doesn't help, but yeah.
Yeah. Like the first and second at halftime, it did not look good at all. I was like, oh, it's done. So then the third quarter happened. Buffalo only scores 1 touchdown. I'm like, hey, this is actually like a good odds probability that this still hits. And then the fourth quarter happens, and then that was just, it is what it is.
For sure. Then the last game, Sunday Night Football, Texans hosting the Chiefs. I think Chiefs they've won 5 straight at home. Texans basically came in and, took over their trap, as Kirk Cousins would say. And the Chiefs are now, 6-7, with the Texans adding to the list of teams above them that own the tiebreaker over them. Is the Chiefs season done?
No, technically speaking, they still have they're done for the AFC AFC West champion. So Mahomes won that 9 straight times. This is the first time in like 9 years that he's not the AFC West champion. But they're still not out of it. But looking at their upcoming schedule, they have to win out. They lose one more game and they're done. So they play the Chargers in Arrowhead, and we'll talk more about it in the preview. This line is like very big for how the Chiefs have been playing. Granted, the Chargers haven't been playing necessarily great either, but after the Chargers, they play the Titans, so that would be a pretty easy game. But then they play the Broncos again. That's going to be a huge game. So they have like the easier schedule, other than that Chargers and Broncos game. But they're definitely not totally dead yet. But they lose one more game, they're out.
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, they started the game off, they were down 10-0, and yep. I was thinking about taking the Chiefs, and I'm just like, but I actually would love for them to lose. And I mean, that's like a win-win. I win money. The Chiefs, or either I win money or the Chiefs lose. But I tried to stay away from it, and then it started looking like the Chiefs defense was turning it on. Tied the game 10-10. And you just kind of ask yourself, like, what was Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes thinking going for it on what, like 4th and 3 on their 34-yard line? Their defense is playing lights out. CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans can't move the ball. You go for it and effectively give them 3 points, which I think they didn't even end up just giving them 3 points. They ended up scoring a touchdown just because they had such a short field. And I think they go for it again. A drive or two later, don't get it again, and they kind of just burn the clock out and kick a field goal, and they're up 10 with 30 seconds left. Game's over.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone was thinking the exact same thing. Why would you go for that? And then Houston scores a touchdown right afterwards. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow. Yeah, and honestly, like, Chiefs defense is really good. Houston's defense is crazy good as well, but Houston's offense is terrible. Yeah, they literally sacked or got like negative yards. I think they went on 3 or 4 like 3-and-outs in a row. The Texans. Like, granted, the Chiefs were playing like crazy good defense, but still, you have to wonder. It's like, really, like, CJ Stroud, you literally just make one good throw and you make a first down, but he couldn't even do that. So,
yeah, I mean, no one wants to talk about it, but and I know not all the picks were on him, but Patrick Mahomes, 160 yards, 14 for 33, 3 picks, no touchdowns.
yeah.
Like, this isn't just like a 1-game sample. We've seen it all this year, probably even a lot of last year, where he just doesn't look like the Patrick Mahomes that we were comparing to Tom Brady. I think Josh Allen took best quarterback in the league from him last year. And is he still a top 3 quarterback? I mean, probably still a top 5, but
like, are you talking about like this season or like just as a quarterback if you were to rank them,
Yeah, I mean, if you were given like your Cowboys and you said you could swap out Dak for any quarterback you want.
Oh yeah, I would still do Patrick Mahomes, like, for sure.
For this season.
For this season, no.
Yeah, I'm not talking like, next couple of years, because yeah, he's not a spring chicken, but he's still 31. And for me, I would probably go Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and then maybe Drake May over Patrick Mahomes. I know Drake May has had a cookie cutter schedule.
No, I'd agree. Yeah.
I don't think he's a top 3 quarterback, this year. And probably even Joe Burrow. I mean, it's been a small sample size, but the games he has played.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, we don't want to spend too much time on this wrap up. The last game, I saw somebody that pretty much summarized the Monday night game. They said, is Jalen Hurts just Justin Fields surrounded by a bunch of Ferraris? Like, I know we've made jokes before, him and Lamar Jackson, probably even Justin Fields, but we don't make enough jokes for Justin Fields because we just know he sucks. But like, they're running backs. And I guess he only had 2 picks going into this game, but you had 4 picks today and a fumble. First player ever to have an interception and a fumble on the same play.
Yep.
And as bad as he played, his defense sacked Justin Herbert a career high 7 times and gave him a chance to win it in overtime. And on 1st and 10 in the red zone, he decides to throw fading away pass in a double coverage that ends up in a pick.
Yeah. Both defenses were really good. Both offenses were pretty bad. I mean, the Chargers started off pretty well. Eagles kind of picked it up at the end of the game. But yeah, this game was purely decided by defenses, and both teams, tons of turnovers. I want to say just in the first half alone, there's like 5 turnovers between both of the teams. Like you said, Hurts, he ended with 4 interceptions, 1 fumble. Herbert threw a pick, and also I think he lost a fumble as well, but they recovered that. Just crazy game, goes into overtime. If you bet the under, hopefully you got a 41.5, because then it still hit after Jalen threw that last pick. I bet the Chargers live, and it worked out for me. There were times where it looked really good, and there was times it didn't look very good. But Eagles had a chance to win it, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think you have to attribute a lot of. I don't think Jalen Hurts is that great of a pure quarterback. I think we agree on that. But on both sides, both the Chargers and the Eagles, you clearly see the importance of an offensive line. Like Justin Herbert gets sacked 7 times. Jalen Hurts, and the run game. I mean, Saquon had that one where it was, I think it was like 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, and they did a little pitch instead of running it down the middle, and he scored a touchdown off of that. But other than that, I mean, Saquon had a couple like 15-yard runs, but nothing crazy. And I think that solely is contributed by the injuries that the Eagles have on their offensive line. You had Dickerson going in and out. Lane Johnson still out. I believe Lane Johnson might come back next week. But, if you don't have a healthy offensive line, you can't really go far. And obviously, Chargers offensive line issues with a lot of their players being out. So can't do much without a healthy O-line.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Eagles minus 2.5, which was the line up until game time. And yeah, I mean, worried during the game, but the Chargers could never put them away. And then the 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, they jump off sides, we get new life. Like I said, I swear they were on like the 16-yard line when he threw the pick. And yeah, and it just like that.
I think that's the issue with the Chargers is like they play Jim Harbaugh ball, which is like very conservative, and it's like heavily relying on your defense. So lots of punting, lots of kicking field goals, not able to – because all the Chargers had to do was punch it in the end zone 1 or 2 more times, and the game would have been over. But they kind of just let Philly stay in the game.
Yeah, a big shout out to Dicker the kicker. I know my brother hates him, and he'll probably haunt his dreams forever. But 5 field goals and a couple of 50-plus yarders. He's automatic. He's probably the second best kicker behind Brandon Aubrey. So, yeah, your Chargers stayed alive. We have a little bet on who will win the AFC West. I picked the Chargers. I have the field. I, of course, gave them better odds than just even odds. And, yeah, they're still technically alive.
They're still alive, technically.
I really thought the Chiefs were going to figure it out. That obviously is impossible now. But, yeah, the Chargers still have a tough schedule the rest of the season. I mean, so do the Broncos, but at least they have 2 games head start with 4 games left. So I don't know if you want to transition to college basketball.
Yeah, let me just recap college basketball real quick. Just because it's been awesome. This is the one thing I really love about college basketball is they play all these great non-conference games before they head into their conference schedule, and you have thriller after thriller. I mean, just last night you had BYU playing Clemson, which Clemson being unranked but still a reputable program. They made I think a run either last year or the year before, pretty deep into the NCAA tournament. So definitely not a team to take lightly. BYU always does what BYU does. They play horrible, don't play very well the first half. They're like the best second half team in the country. I can confidently say that. They're down 43-22. So they're down 20. Was it 20? Yeah, it was 22. Yeah. So they're down 21 points a half, 21 or 22 points. And they proceed to come back score like 46 points, I want to say, in the second half. So I bet the line was only 4.5. So 4.5, BYU's clearly the better team at a neutral site. I bet the 4.5 pregame, and I felt confident about that. Going into halftime, obviously not so confident about it anymore, but the live odds was I got BYU again at plus 12.5. And then they started storming back, which I knew they would. Kevin Young's a good enough coach that he makes adjustments. And BYU, they were having a really bad shooting night in the first half. They started making those shots in the second half, playing a lot more defense. And they come back, and I thought they were going to – they were looking like they were going to cover that 4.5 that I bet pregame. Clemson literally comes back. I want to say there's 1 minute left. BYU was up 6. They come down to hit like a super quick 3. I'm like, all right, they're down 3. They hit 2 more free throws, foul because it's under a minute now. BYU's up 5. I'm like, all right, I just need literally one stop, and I'm going to hit that 4.5. And then I also bet 1.5, I believe, like in the third, like with 10 minutes left in the second half. So I had 3 bets on this, 2 of them live, 1 of them pregame. And then Clemson proceeds to, this guy does like a in-between step back 3, hits that again. So they're only down 2. Foul Rob Wright. I'm like, oh gosh, like, all right, he just like makes these 2 free throws, 4-point game. Maybe they miss and they foul again, whatever. Rob Wright misses the front end of the 1-on-1. They come down, they score a quick 2. It's literally tie game, 64-64, 9.3 seconds left. I'm like, what the heck? BYU might not even win this game. At the very least, it's going to go into overtime. They still have a chance to possibly hit the game-winning shot. So Rob Wright dribbles down the court. They call another timeout because they had 2 timeouts remaining. And that only leaves them 1.3 seconds left. I know there's controversial being like, oh, they should have just like ran the play or whatever. I'm kind of okay with that. I would have liked them to put a little bit more time, because I think when he called timeout, there were still like over 2 seconds left. But then the clock ran down to like 1.3 after they called the timeout, but they didn't adjust the time, which I think they should have. Anyway, they have 1.3 seconds. I don't hate what Kevin Young did, because I do that in 2K all the time. I'll like just pass it down the court and call a quick timeout to get just like closer to the basket, because it is a lot easier to run a play from half court versus full court. So I don't hate his decision on that. And proceed to run a play. You think AJ is going to get the ball. They like double team him, I'm pretty sure. Rob Wright comes back from the backcourt. Boscovich passes him the ball. 1.3 seconds left, so he just like literally just catches and shoots it. 3. Bang! It goes in. BYU wins 6-7 to 64. So I cashed on my obviously plus 12.5. That was a super easy cash because I knew they were going to come back stronger in the second half to make it a closer game. And then minus 1.5 cash. Lost the 4.5, but I ended up positive with those other 2 bets. But yeah,
absolutely incredible game. I don't know. I'm a big live guy, especially in basketball. Spreads, I've been whacked by spreads, but I like the 2.5. So, I've been using Kalshi a lot lately. Kalshi, please sponsor us. I did a limit order for 2.5 and maybe 52 cents that executed. I think somebody would just sold and I got it because it was still floating around 55. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's still tied. And like, I think they kind of took a little lead. So I was like, yeah, let me just do like another limit order. I think I put it at maybe 35 cents. It executed, and then they were down maybe 5 points, or maybe it might have just been 2 points. And then they proceeded to close the game on a 21-0 run. And I'm like, oh, I'm cooked. So Mike already broke it down, but they were up 6 after AJ's huge, drive to the lane dunk. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to cash this. This is great. And they kind of hit 2 threes on back-to-back possessions. They tied it. And I'm like, all right, I either need a 3 or I need this game to go to overtime because I have 2.5. And we know what happened. I was
That's
pretty
crazy.
excited.
Yeah, I like that 1.5 because I'm like, all right, like even if they score 2 or whatever, like I think the like 1.5, 3 are really key numbers, even 4, because you get to the end of a game for college basketball, and this would be like a college basketball, at least like betting tips, kind of from my experience. Anywhere it gets like 4.5 is still sometimes okay because at the end of the game, within 2 possessions, they're fouling and stuff. They like hitting free throws. That's important. They can get to that 5 or 6, but once it kind of gets the it's like 5.5 plus like 7.5, 8.5, unless you think they're going to blow them out, those are like kind of the dangerous numbers. Anytime, depending on who you're playing, if you're playing like a semi-decent team or it's like, all right, I don't really see a blowout, I usually like to wait for a little bit better number, like live. If I can snag like obviously 1.5 is awesome, but more realistic, like a 2.5 or 3.5 live, I'd rather do that. Whenever you're betting live, you always want to try to get a little bit better odds live than what the line closed at. But yeah, what a game. And then the next game was really great too. I only got to watch half of it, but UConn, Florida. I was really tempted to bet UConn, and it was a really close game. I mean, the score at the end of the game, UConn did end up covering. Actually, they didn't end up covering, did they? They won by 3. So I'm actually glad I didn't bet their game. But that was a close game, and I know Florida. Whenever they played Duke, they only lost to Duke by 1. You could argue that that Florida should have won that game at Cameron. And Duke is the defending national champions. Obviously, they don't have a lot of players from that national championship team, but they still have the same coach. They still have the same culture and the mentality, similar play style. And they're the defending champs, so they're not going to go down lightly. So on that Duke game, they were down like pretty big, like 18 or something, and I grabbed a plus 14.5 on them. I didn't live bet the Florida UConn game last night just because I knew it was going to be a pretty close game. Honestly, Florida had a good chance to steal that game away, but UConn is UConn. Danny Hurley has his guys in line, and I just kind of wanted to enjoy. I was already positive for the day in the green, so I didn't want to really mess anything up, and I just enjoyed a good game.
Yeah, so did you watch the first half or the second half of that game?
Second half.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I only watched towards the end just because I was watching, I don't know, for some reason the next game, even though it was a blowout, switched it over to the UConn game. I don't know if you remember, but Florida kind of shot themselves in the foot. They were pressing, playing the free throw game, getting quick 2s. They were down by 3, and they had UConn turn the ball over on the sideline. Yeah. So Florida was going to get the ball down by 3, no timeouts, and they proceeded to get a 5-second violation. It was just like throw the ball in. Even if you get the turnover, you're going to get a turnover if you hold on to the ball.
Yeah,
they got a turnover and they fouled. I think they won by 5 or 4. So maybe I think the spread might have been 5.5 or 4.5.
I'm pretty sure it was 76 to 73. I want to say.
Because I know they didn't get a shot off.
77 to 73. So if you got a 3.5, it cashed. If you got a 4.5, it didn't cash.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought it was absolutely embarrassing that you forced the turnover, let alone. I mean, that was awesome, but then you proceed to not even be able to get the ball in. Yeah. And thank goodness they didn't call a timeout, pull Chris Webber, but that ultimately lost them the game. Not saying they were going to make a 3 and tie it up, but you had the opportunity, and you decided to get a 5-second violation.
Yeah,
inexcusable in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So, I know we're going to talk about like this draft class. It's crazy. We're just going to skip over that. I just wanted to highlight real quick. So there's this guy. I don't know if it originally came from him. Spencer, you sent me this post where it's like going back, I think, till like 2006 or something. At the end of like week 4 or 6 or something, if you're in the top 12, this is like going back to like year 2000 something, like your national championship has come from like the top 12 teams at that time. Right now you have Arizona, Michigan, Duke, Iowa State coming out at 1, 2, 3, 4, all undefeated. UConn at 5, Purdue at 6, Houston at 7, Gonzaga, Michigan State, BYU, Louisville, all with one loss, and then you have Alabama 12th with a record of 7-2. It's like historically since 2004, I have it right here, was top 12 every champion since 04 was week
We're in
6
the top 12.
top 12. So
in the week 6 rankings, right?
Yeah. Based off of that, we'll do a little bit of quick like prediction. I mean, obviously I watch a little bit more college basketball than say Spencer does. I think right now the best team is definitely Michigan. I think they're the deepest team. I think they probably play the hardest. It's hard to. The only caveat is a lot of their games, they've been just dominating teams so much. You take me flashbacks to the first championship under Danny Hurley UConn team where they would just blow out everyone by 30 or 40. This is what's the Michigan team's doing right now under Dusty May. I have to say that they're the favorite to win the championship right now, just because they've literally obliterated every single team they play. And they played good teams. They played a top 25 Auburn team. They played Gonzaga in the championship during Feast Week, and they blew them out by 30. And they have a couple other big games coming up as well. I want to say they play UConn as well later down the stretch. Or I think UConn might play Purdue. I might get mixed up on that. But so far, I love what I see from Michigan, from their guards, their bigs. I think they have probably the best big rotation in all of college basketball. I know Arizona gets a lot of praise. Duke gets a lot of praise. But I think from a shooting perspective, a guard play perspective, just a full like 10 to 12 man rotation and coaching as well. I think Dusty May is a really good coach. Is he the best coach in the league? Probably not, but if I had to say, I'd probably say he's a better coach than like John Shire or I don't even know who the coach at Arizona is. It's not Sean Miller anymore, whoever that guy is. Danny Hurley, I could compare him to Danny Hurley, but and Kevin Young. I put Kevin Young up there as well. But I'd say if I had to choose, I'd say Michigan. I don't know if you had a perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that report, like you said, week 6, top 12. Every single national champion has been ranked in the top 12. It's not a super finite, but not a super big cluster of teams. Obviously, 64 or 68 if you count, the first 4 in, make the playoffs. So, I also, as you get farther along in the season, I think the same guy who did that analysis also talks about the trapezoid of excellence, talking about efficiency and a pace of game. So keep an eye out for that. But I think BYU currently is still in that trapezoid of excellence as of this week. And yeah, we're homers. Obviously, that's our alma mater. But I think Michigan, they just blowing out teams, and they're the consensus favorite until proven otherwise. Kind of like Oklahoma City in the NBA.
Yeah, I agree. But college basketball is going to be great. Big 12, like I say over and over again, best basketball conference in the nation. And they're the teams to beat in that conference. Cool. All right. I think that wraps up our recap. If you want to go to preview, and then we have like NBA. We have the Emirates Cup. We had the first round yesterday. We had the Eastern Conference kick it off. Orlando, I mean, I guess this is a little bit of a recap. Orlando beating the Heat without a Franz Wagner. You have Paolo back, but I believe he was on a minutes restriction last night, but he was pretty effective in those minutes. But I think the story is Desmond Bane. That guy is a flamethrower, and that was a really good pickup for the Magic. I think Bane gives them a really good dynamic. And I think, honestly, I'd say the Orlando Magic are going to beat the Knicks, and they're going to go to the championship. And I think I like what I see from Orlando. I think Orlando is going to win the Emirates Cup, in my opinion.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like what I see from Orlando. They have the defense. At times, their offense, you'd love to have Franz back out there. But I like how they can switch it up. They can run a fast pace. They can run a slow pace. I like just the amount of different bigs that they have. Wendell, he's very serviceable. When you have your big guys that can, like Wendell has definitely expanded his game. Being able to hit those corner threes is huge. And then you have a backup center. I'm a big Goga fan. Goga Biatadze, like he's one of the best backup centers in the league. Him just being like 7 foot, 7'1", however tall he is. He's just a big energy guy. He defends at a pretty high level. He moves pretty well, and he grabs a lot of rebounds and finishes in the lane. So I like what I see from Orlando. You have Tyus Jones coming off the bench for them, and Anthony Black as well. I think they're a really solid team. Despite them going down 15-0 at the very beginning of the game, they clearly had control against the Heat. And then
I feel like that is a super hot take.
I like Orlando.
I mean, I wouldn't knock you for saying Orlando to make the finals just because they only need to win one more game to do that against the Knicks. I'd probably take the Knicks to win that game. I haven't seen the line, and I think Cat might have missed. No, Cat played last night, right?
Yeah.
I know they've been dealing with some injuries, the Knicks. Tonight, like Mike mentioned, it's the other half, the Western quarterfinals. Oklahoma City, I think they're visiting Phoenix. Doesn't really matter. I think the line's 14.5. I don't know if I'd believe in that, but I think 15 of their games, Oklahoma City has won by double digits, so there's a reason the line is that high. Then you have the San Antonio Spurs visiting my Los Angeles Lakers. Victor Wembanyama is still not back, so I would be surprised if the Lakers lose that. And as much as I love the Lakers, I saw what Oklahoma City did to them the first time we played this season. They were up by 20 in the second quarter. And I think on Kalshi, they're above 50% chance of winning the NBA Cup. I think maybe I'd have to, hustle Mike out of some more money and just,
I mean, I don't know. That's one thing to it depends on the odds, I think the clear favorite is obviously OKC. I'm not going to dispute that. But what I see from Orlando, and obviously it's a little bit of a hot take. I think it would be really boring to be like, well, obviously OKC is going to win. I think OKC is going to win, because everyone's going to say that.
And I agree, but I feel like that's part of the reason why the NBA has been so boring this year. It's because Oklahoma City is not, as exciting as the Warriors with Steph Curry hitting all these threes and when they were going for the record. They're a fun team to watch, but they just beat the snot out of you, and Shea lives at the free throw line.
Yeah.
And they just win the game. I mean, it's a good segue. I wanted to have a conversation on, how realistic is them breaking the all-time NBA wins record. I think it's fairly
at this point in the season, for sure. Yeah.
I think I heard somebody saying, they're plus 340. I'd be interested, and I'm going to take a look at those odds because I was kind of looking at, what division are they in? Because they play divisional games the most. Denver's in their division, Minnesota, but then they have Portland, Utah, who, aren't really much of a competition. But I wanted to see also, how many games have they played in their conference versus non-conference. 20 of their 24 games they've played in conference, and they're 19-1. Their one loss being to the Portland Trailblazers. So they've only played 4 games against the East, and I think we can both say the East is clearly the weaker division, a weaker conference.
Mm-hmm.
24 games in, I mean, you're more than a quarter of the way through the season. You've lost 1 game.
Yeah, and I mean,
they played 20 of those games, I think, without Jada, their second best player.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just based off of what they've done so far, and 20 of the 24 games or wins against Western Conference teams, I think numbers wise, I would like to see that line of because what's the record? 73-9.
73-9.
Yeah. I think they're definitely on pace to hit it. Obviously, that doesn't mean it's a lock or anything. Anomalies happen. Injuries might happen. Maybe they end up trading for Giannis. It just throws volatility. But based off of just assuming they don't trade anyone, obviously some injuries will happen here or there. No big injuries happen to like Shea or whoever. Like, yeah, I think they're very likely to break that record.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, for me, there's not just the NFL being in full swing and Oklahoma City just destroying teams. I don't really have much else to talk about in the NBA. I think Orlando's turned it around. They looked really bad at the start of the season, but it seems like Desmond Bane and them and having Paolo back. Hopefully, they're able to get into the swing of things and make a run at the playoffs because the East is wide open this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you look at the Orlando Magic, like their lineup is very good. They've always been historically like a very big team as far as like height wise. Like they were notorious for playing that super big lineup wet in the bubble that they would like start. Who do they start? I can't remember, but like all of their players.
Jonathan Isaac?
No, they started Jonathan Isaac and like Wendell. But who's their point guard? They had like a 6'7" point guard or something. Or was it Markelle Fultz? It might have been Markelle.
Yeah, I think it was Markelle.
Yeah, so like their whole lineup was like over 6'5" or 6'6". They're just like massive. But yeah, I really like their team. I think they're a very well coached team. They play defense. You can clearly see that in previous playoff series as well as this year. But they're starting to score the ball a lot more. And you have Desmond Bane, who definitely does that, and he can do it from the 3-point line. He can do it from the free throw line. He's kind of a 3-level scorer. And then you have just role players. I like the role players that they have. Tyus Jones coming off the bench. Like, I can't remember if he won Sixth Man of the Year last year or not. No, that was Ty Jerome. But your potential Sixth Man of the Year and Tyus Jones coming off the bench for you. You have good players like Anthony Black, Goga coming off the bench. And then once they get healthy, they have Franz. I like the Tristan Da Silva kid too. Like, he's just another wing. He played at Colorado last year, and he's just another 6'9" wing that can hit threes when you need him to. He can play good defense. He can guard 1 through 5. Pretty decent passer. So I like Orlando. I'm very high on them for the rest of the season.
Wait, I know we're getting close to the end, so just sprint through the NFL. You want to do that?
Yeah.
So games that stood out to me on the schedule. I guess the biggest news is, and I didn't double check this, but I think I'm right, 9-time dad, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers being signed to the Indianapolis Colts practice squad. And, signed to the practice squad for now because they don't want to just,
Yeah, they're not going to name him starting quarterback right now.
Let the cat out of the bag. But I think Riley Leonard, who finished the game, has a knee injury.
Yeah, I think he has a sprained or strained PCL is what I've seen.
Yeah, I saw some video of him this morning, on the practice field. I mean, he's probably still in better shape than me, but he looked like, the reality. He's been on the couch for 5 years.
I mean, like, kind of like, what other options do you have? Like, I think the reason why they went with him versus just like some rando, because like obviously people were like, oh, you could grab like Johnny Manziel or someone. I think a lot of like people that don't know football and like what's going on, like the NFL trade line line's over, so everyone's like, oh, why don't you get Joe Flacco or Jameis Winston? And it's like, well, you can't unless the other team cuts him or waives them, and then you pick him up off of waivers. But that's not going to happen. So I've heard and I've seen that Phillip Rivers, like, he's a grandfather if you put things in perspective. And he coached his like high school son's football team, and he ran the same offense that the Colts run. So he's like very familiar with that playbook. And I think he'd probably pick it up a lot faster than any other guy would. So, I mean, yeah, he's 44 years old, probably not in the best shape, but I mean, all you have to do is like let him just stay in the pocket. You don't really expect him to do any running. So hand the ball off to
Yeah,
Jonathan
hand the ball
Taylor.
off to Jonathan Taylor, right?
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like Jonathan Taylor, he's kind of bottled up the with the lack of a QB threat. Even with Daniel Jones kind of like hobbling out there, like Jonathan Taylor hasn't. He's seeing like better defenses, so hopefully that helps him out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the spread is 13.5. They're going to play Seattle in Seattle. I think that's indicative of whether they play Phillip Rivers or whether they play Riley Leonard.
I don't think either one, I think, is like the line's probably right. Like where this opened at, granted, this was like a look ahead, but like the original opening line was -3.5. Obviously, this was before like Danny Jones.
Before
like,
Danny Dimes blew out his Achilles.
Yeah.
Other big game, Bengals, it's do or die. They're hosting the Ravens. Baltimore is actually favored by 2.5. I like the Bengals to win it straight up. I mean, call me crazy, but I think they should have beat Buffalo in Buffalo last week, notwithstanding those 2 late picks. How do you like that game?
Yeah, I mean, Ravens games, and that's why I mainly have stayed off a lot of Ravens games. Like, I think this line is very much indicative that like Lamar Jackson's going to even like be closer to somewhat looking like his old self. Otherwise, I don't see why like the Ravens would be favored. I think that's the only reasons why the Ravens would be favored here. Because like even if you get like somewhat normal Lamar Jackson, like I think with the somewhat normal Lamar Jackson, the Ravens could win this game by more than a touchdown. But that's a big if, you know. So I think that's why like the reasoning of the line, why it's still favored in Baltimore for Baltimore. I don't know. It seems kind of like a trap game in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like the logical way would be like, oh, of course, like the Bengals have been playing way better than the Ravens.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, Lamar has a lot more to play for than Joe Burrow, than being just one game out of the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow's on my team, my fantasy team, obviously, so I have a little biasm. But there's a reason why he came back, and he's looked great in his last 2 games since coming back from injury. It's going to be a cold one, so maybe Derrick Henry is able to just, run it down the Bengals defense's throat. But yeah, give me the Bengals. I mean, I wouldn't even take the spread. I would take them straight up. Yeah. Next game, those Kansas City Chiefs, who every game's a playoff game at this point, hosting the Chargers. Casey's -4.5. Yeah,
I don't understand this line. I mean, like, I know the Chargers aren't that great of a team, even though they're 9-4. The Chiefs look so bad, and like they lost their backup left tackle, the guy that got hurt at left tackle or left guard. I can't remember.
Tackle.
Yeah, he's out for the season. Like he got hurt, so they have like the backup of the backup in, third string guy in. It just doesn't look good for the Chiefs. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe you be that person that like, oh, you can't bet against the Chiefs, but like I would definitely not bet on the Chiefs. Like -4.5 is a big line for kind of how everything's been going for them. I would take the Chargers here. +4.5. Yeah.
Chargers 4.5. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would probably want to see, once again, going to my roots or whatever. Try to get it live. Try to get Casey at a better number. But if you had to ask me, I think Kansas City. Their last couple of games have been playoff games, but this is literally you lose and your season is over. So give me Kansas City 4.5. I think they can win by Let me just come up with the score. I think they can win by a touchdown, but at very least 6 points.
I don't think so. Well, their offense has been looking terrible, and the thing is, the Chargers' offense, don't get me wrong, is not that good. Chargers' defense, on the other hand, is pretty good. both teams have a good defense. So I mean, like, if anything,
Yeah.
maybe look at the under.
So
but,
is there second string left tackle out for the year? The guy who went down.
I want to say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that'll be tough. Khalil Mack coming off the edge. But the Chiefs' defense looked incredible last game, and it was really just their offense let them down. They're home. Yeah, give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that one's a tough one because I mean, people were saying the same thing against Houston. It's like, oh, it's do or die. It's the Chiefs. They need to win this game, and yeah, they look bad. I don't know. And the thing is, Casey has been actually getting a lot of game day money. So if you were to bet the Chiefs pregame, maybe grab this number because I think like the last couple of games they've been catching a lot of steam. Like the Houston game, which I clearly thought even at plus 3.5, Houston was the move. It went up as big as 5.5, and I kept buying, and it turned out how I thought it was going to turn out, and I cashed all of them. So I think it might be a similar situation here. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the Chargers. Yeah, obviously, I want the Chargers to lose so I don't have to pay out.
No. Yeah, exactly. The thing is like the Chargers could very much well lose, but like
to cover for sure, cover the 4.5. It'll be tough. Yeah.
And the way the Chiefs have been playing, like I can't have confidence that they're going to win by more than a touchdown. Like,
yeah, I mean, I said the same thing about the Eagles. There's no way they can lose 3 straight games. They ended up losing to of all teams, the Chargers. So it could just be Groundhog Day for me. With the Chiefs losing.
I think you're in the right. I think live would probably be better. So say like the Chargers get off to like a quicker start, which it seems like they have been nowadays. And you get Chiefs at basically like money line, like minus 120 or minus 1.
Yeah, or just tease the line down to like 2.5 or even just 3.5 is more. I'd be more comfortable with 21-17 game. 4.5 it's a tough line.
Yeah,
it's the Vegas zone, as they said. But you just run the chance of the Chiefs actually scoring first, and then you never been able to grab them. So,
yeah, sure.
A battle of the AFC East. Bills going to Foxborough to play the New England Patriots. Drake, May. Bills are favored by 1.5. Try not to let my biasm for Matthew Stafford MVP to get in the way, but I think Josh Allen is sneaking into the MVP conversation, especially with that huge win against Cincinnati last week. And you look at the Patriots wins, I know they're a good team, notwithstanding the people they've played, but you look at all their wins and you stack them up, you're like, oh, that's the order of the NFL draft. Like they've played bottom of the barrel teams. And I'd be comfortable, laying the 1.5 with Buffalo.
Yeah, I think the opposite. I think the move is the Patriots here. You can basically get money line for even money. I think that's the move just because, they have a really cupcake schedule. And you've had to compare Josh Allen straight to Drake May. Like, obviously, I think Josh Allen is better for sure. He has the more experience. But Patriots coming off a bye. They're playing in Gillette at Foxborough. If you just look at the Bills, like clearly you can see that they don't have a great defense and they just kind of make it up with their offense. I think Patriots defense is actually pretty good and the Patriots can run the ball. They have Henderson, which he's proven that he can run the ball. What is the Bills defense? They can't stop the run. So Drake May doesn't even he's never thrown a 300-yard game. He doesn't have to here. He can throw for his cool 240, 250, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. Pat's defense does its thing. I think they can win this game. Like I said, coming off of a bye week. So, yeah,
I mean, Mike Vrabel, I honestly think he's probably a better coach than Sean McDermott. But the Bills were upset by the Patriots earlier this season in Buffalo, so I think they're going to come for revenge, and I think they should cover that 1.5 small spread. You could probably even tease it up to 2.5.
Yeah.
Probably 2 more games. You have the Green Bay Packers visiting the Denver Broncos. Green Bay is actually favored by 2.5 going to Denver.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think the Broncos and the Pats I'd say the Pats are definitely better than the Broncos, but they have similar schedules. They've had pretty easy schedules and they've kind of like barely escaped, or at least just the Broncos, they barely escaped like most of those games. So I like the line here. I mean, you go to Denver, it was always a tough place to play. It's going to be very low scoring, I think. But Packers defense, or both defenses, look pretty good. And I do not trust this Broncos offense. Like, you play, and just the way that Sean Payton plays, he's very conservative, especially once he gets a lead. He plays very conservatively. You could clearly see that in the game last week against the Raiders. What was only like 24 or
24-17.
Yeah, like, he just plays very conservatively when he knows he has a little bit of a lead. Packers offense has just been getting better and better as they've had guys that were previously injured or becoming more healthy. I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty nice day in Denver, actually. From what
60 degrees, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, you deal with the altitude, but I don't think that's really comparison compared to playing at Lambeau with like negative 20-degree weather. So I think the Packers are the spot, even though Jordan Love kind of had a slow start in Chicago. He looked a lot better the second half. Even though I don't think Jordan Love's that good, he's definitely a better quarterback than Bo Nix. And I think the Broncos defense it's one of its biggest challenges yet against this Packers offense.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Small spread like that, take Green Bay to cover the spread. We've seen Bo Nix. I want to say he can't play from behind, but he did have that crazy comeback, albeit to the New York Giants. I just feel like, the Green Bay defense is really good, a defense that he hasn't really seen. He played Kansas City's defense, and Kansas City's defense is good, but they're no Green Bay Packers defense. So, give me Green Bay minus 2.5.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, even against the Chiefs, what they scored, they won the game 23-20, right? So they like barely passed over 21. So
for sure. Last game I like is the Matt Stafford game. Lions visiting the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are favored by 5.5. Unlike the Kansas City game, I do like the Rams to cover that spread 5.5. I just feel like the Lions losing both coordinators last season, you've clearly seen the inefficiencies both on offense and defense. And I just feel like Matt Stafford's rolling. He had a tough game on the road going cross country 2 weeks ago to Carolina, but he blew out Arizona in Arizona. I mean, Arizona is who we assume they are, but that offense is just rolling and their defense is just as good. So give me the 5.5.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd probably go with the Rams here too. 55.5, the over under. I think the total, I think this is an over game. Like, don't get me wrong, Rams defense is really good, but I think the Detroit offense is pretty good as well. They're playing inside, so Jared Goff doesn't have to worry about playing outside. He always plays better indoors versus outdoors. And both these, like, the Rams offense is unstoppable. Even in Carolina, they can move the ball downfield. Yeah, they had some turnovers, but you clearly saw in Arizona. And don't get me wrong, Arizona's defense is bad, but easily get down the field, score 40-plus points. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. 55.5, I mean, obviously it is a little bit higher total, but I think we can go over this. I think Lions offense is good enough. You have a Amon-Ra having basically like a mini bye playing on Thursday last week, and you have a Sunday afternoon game. So he has a couple extra days rest. It'd be interesting to see. I think their line is okay as well. The defense, I don't really trust Detroit's defense. I think Rams defense is a lot better. That's why if I had to choose a side, I would go with LA as well. But I think Lions offense is very explosive, like we've seen against the Cowboys, who we thought was a better defense. It could potentially not be the case, but nonetheless, they scored a lot in Dallas. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring really fun game to watch.
Great. I feel like, yeah, unless you predict like a huge blowout, I would probably pick either Rams -4.5 or over, because if it gets over, then both teams probably typically scoring, and they can still cover 34-28, but just it gets a little bit more precarious to cover that 5.5,
Yeah.
more points each team scores. So just do your due diligence and figure out, which side you're more comfortable betting.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully you want to say, I mean, I don't know I'm just looking at the ESPN, the DraftKings odds. Right now it says LA's -5.5. If you can get a 4.5, I'd like that a little bit more. But LA is probably going to be bet up, so I wouldn't be surprised if this goes up to like a 6 or something.
Cool. Yeah, those are the games that stood out to me. I wanted to go over.
Cool. All right. Well, we have a good week ahead of us. You have the Cup. You have Cup games tonight: Lakers, Spurs, as well as OKC and Phoenix. I think obviously OKC is going to win that game. I think the Lakers are going to win that game. Although I know Victor Wembanyama is still out. Right now the line's -7.5. I think it's going to be closer than people think. So I actually might give that Spurs +7.5, or maybe even +8.5, depending on how it goes. I'd give that a look. I might personally bet that, just because even without Wembanyama, the Spurs have kind of been proven, and they have Stephon Castle back as well. They've kind of proven that they can kind of hang around. And I mean, LA doesn't really have any elite. Like, obviously, having Wembanyama on the floor versus off the floor makes a huge difference. But I mean, Ayton's been playing better, but he's not someone that is going to be that much of a game changer in the game. I could be totally wrong, but this is my opinion. I think it could be a closer game than people expect. I don't think it's going to go blowout.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll have to be seen. But I guess that's it for episode 7 of Boys Bet Ball.
All right. Catch y'all later. Catch y'all next week.